Welcome, angels and all. And so we've been talking about how do we find our soul purpose, our reason for being here, our bliss, and all of that sort of stuff. And we started with talking about how the mind works and the details of the mind and finding those God spaces, how to find peace and how to find right decisions within that, the God space, within peace or through peace. And then we've gone on to talking from the mind to the body, getting out and following those ideas, instructions that we get from the bigger picture. So once we set out to do something, and it doesn't matter what it is, I will guarantee there will be a setback or two, a hurdle, a something that gets in the way of wanting to do. And it's almost like there's sort of some system that just sort of wants to test how keen we are to get on and do these things. And one of my tests, I'm sorry about that, is the internet. So each day I've probably got to do this about 6 times before I can finally get the internet going. But we don't give up. So what do we do when we get to a hurdle? Well, there's 2 things I've learnt. I've been doing yoga now for 14 months, almost every day. Well, at least 8 times a week. And there are 2 things I've learnt from yoga. So just back step. Sorry about the itchy nose. I've got mosquitoes. I'm currently being pressured to do something illegal by a fairly powerful group of people, which if I did it would probably mean that I would lose my house. So I'm feeling like I'm being pressed into quite a big G-clamp from these bigger forces. And at the same time, I'm trying to sell my house. And because there's this dispute going on, I can't sell my house. It's in the way. And also I've gone from one agent to another and they're having a little tiff between each other and stuff's going on. It's just drama. It's just drama. And I had a sleepless night last night. So all I'm saying is that I'm speaking from experience, that stuff comes up, stuff happens, whether it's our health, whether it's relationships, or whether it's jobs, lose jobs or businesses, get into trouble, it might be financial. All sorts of different hurdles might come along when we set out on a particular path. So how do we deal with it? So the 2 ideas from yoga. One is that in yoga, we generally move into discomfort, but not into pain. So there's a sort of fine line, but we push our body as far as discomfort will allow us, but before pain kicks in. So we don't go into pain. That's dysfunctional. It takes us backwards, if you like. And so when we are easing into a pose, they call them asanas, the Indian word, whatever it is, Baddha-Konasana, which is child pose, or Uttanasana, which is a chair pose. I used to hate that one. All of these different poses. So what we do is we ease into the pose and we hold it and we hold it. And as we hold ourselves in a physical pose, what we find is that our muscles slowly let go. They slowly allow us to move into the pose in a deeper way. And that happens over time. There's 14 months that I've been doing it. I can now do stuff I couldn't do 6 months ago even. But even in the moment when I try and do, say, pigeon, which is a stretched out one and great for the hips and the sciatica, when I go into pigeon, sometimes I'm a little bit stiff. And so I just go as far as I can and then I hold it. And my body then slowly allows me to go into the full pose. And we can use that image, if you like, that symbolism, that when something's happening to us, when there's a a fight happening or a hurdle or something, the first step we can do is just stop and be with it. So I practiced this when I first discovered that someone was trying to get rid of my house out from under me, just because they want to put 3 other houses on this site, which would mean they can treble the income. So I sat with it, and I've found a really good lawyer, and so they've given me a judgment, if you like, a statement that I can now take to these people and say, this is the law. So that's the first step, is just not, I have been very good at reacting to things. Anger was my first port of call. Up to 20 years ago, I was wonderful at anger. I was a past master. Whereas now it's just, okay, this has happened. Just, it's okay. It's not okay, but I haven't died. I haven't been, beaten, or my family hasn't been raped and pillaged and stuff. I've been asked to do something. I'll think about it. And I'll just be with it. And it's almost like a pose that's a little bit uncomfortable. So I'm just with it, and as I sort of ease into it, as I stay with the idea of having to do something I don't want to, I ease into it and I find an answer. And in this case, I found a new real estate agent, and through him, I've found a really good lawyer who specializes in these particular issues. And so hopefully that's like a step towards resolving this. So instead of reacting, I don't want to do this, which I used to be very good at, and I sometimes fall into it, even now, when I stop and breathe and create a space between, there's an event here happening and my reaction. When I create a space between the event and my reaction, that creates a gap in the universe. It's like a God space, and God can speak into that gap between event and reaction. And if I can pull event and reaction apart, I can feel a bigger space for answers, universal wisdom, whatever we call it. And so in this case, it was a very practical answer. A new agent, find a lawyer, get a judgment. Got that. The other lesson from yoga is that, so when we hold a lot of these poses for a long time, sometimes it's very difficult to hold it. And we're in an awkward pose, and our muscles are straining, and our body going like this, and can't keep our breath, and our stomach's squashed up, and we can't breathe properly, whatever it is. What we are told in yoga is that when our mind thinks we're exhausted, we've got to the end of it, we've got 70% to go. So, and it's quite a difficult one to get through. When we think we're absolutely exhausted and we've got to give up and relax and let it go, we're only a third of the way there. Our mind tells us to give up before our body has to. And it's a nice reminder too, because there are times, and I've felt absolutely overwhelmed by what's going on, and I just feel like, I can't deal with this. I feel like sometimes I have felt like crying, falling into a heap and doing all of that sort of stuff. But I hold my pose. I know from yoga that when I get to the stage of my mind says, I can't do this anymore, I need to let go, I need to hold, whatever it is, the arms are out, stretched around, the legs are twisted all over the place. I can't do this anymore. I've been practicing staying with it, knowing that I'm only a third of the way through, that my mind speaks up beforehand. I can't do this, we need to stop. And it's the same, I've trying to do the intermittent fasting. And so for quite a few days, I have had nothing to eat except until dinner time. And there's moments where I'm used to eating. on a hourly basis, shall we say, breakfast, dinner, and lunch and dinner, and maybe snacks between. And so my body's used to food going in. Yum, 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 yum. I need some more food, need some more food. And so I've denied it the food. And so I feel quite hungry at times, but I stay with the hunger. Just stay with it. Don't, this is terrible, and there's no emotion. It's not good or bad or anything. It's just, I'm hungry. And as I stay with the hunger, it kind of goes. I'm not hungry. It's like my body's used to it, but no, I don't need it. And it's the same when we're in a yoga pose or when we have something that's really overwhelming. When we're about to, I don't know, commit harikari, burst into tears and cry and throw ourselves into the sea or something, we're a third of the way there. Our mind kicks in well before our actual physical endurance does. We can keep going. We can keep going and just staying with whatever the problem is. It might be a legal one like I've got right now. It might be a physical one. It might be an eating one that I have had. Could be relationships, And it's not that we have to endure stuff that's absolutely inappropriate. Obviously, that's an entirely different thing. But it's when something comes to us that we find overwhelming. And if we simply just be with it and not necessarily relax into it, just be with it. This is what it is. This is what's happening. And if we stay with that, our physicality and our mind will actually come to accept it. We'll accept this discomfort into a new level of comfort, and so on. So we can move from discomfort into comfort and push ourselves to another level of discomfort, and that becomes comfortable, and then another level of discomfort, and that becomes comfortable, and so on. So there's just 2 lessons from yoga, and there's an awful lot more that I'm learning from yoga that we can apply to life. So that is it, my darlings. I wish you staying with it. I wish you flexibility. I wish you discomfort and staying with it. And may your day be filled with joy and peace.